All right, we're here as the Lost Rider Podcast. Good morning and welcome to this weekend's edition of News from the Camp House, listening post of the Texas Sportsman Association. This is Herman Brune, and this weekend's edition is also brought to us by the Shaw's Bend Social Club, country club for folks who don't have a country club. All right, tell you what, we've got a young lady with us this weekend, and it's Dana, and I'm going to let you tell, Dana, you going to tell us your last name.
Dana Dykema. It's a Dutch last name. Married a Dutchie.
Oh, okay. Well, what were you before?
Tassa. Very much easier. Dana Tassa.
All right. Well, what? Okay, but that's not. What is that?
Norwegian.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. I ought to tell our listeners too. You're from Vancouver, Canada, correct?
Yes, that's correct. BC.
Okay, British Columbia. All right. Okay, you're here on behalf of the Women Hunt organization, correct?
That's right. So with the Wild Sheep Foundation.
Okay, this is an offshoot. This is the Wild Sheep Foundation. We've had them on here before. We've talked a lot about wild sheep, but now you're going to tell us everything we know about this offshoot. Now it's about getting women in the outdoors and hunting and gun safety and all that. Go ahead.
Should I hold this?
You can if you want.
Okay. Save your arm. Yeah, so the Women Hunt program is it's under the umbrella of the Wild Sheep Foundation. And it's not just a one thing now. It's sort of morphed into multiple branches of this main trunk, which is Women Hunt. And my offshoot is called the Ignite Podcast. So I'm the host of the Ignite Podcast under the Women Hunt umbrella.
You're saying Ignite, I-G-N-I-T-E, the Ignite podcast. Okay.
That's right. Yeah. So I'm the host of the Ignite Podcast, which is a brand new offshoot with Women Hunt. But the main offering that Women Hunt does is the Field to Fork program, which is an application process that is open in May, and women have the opportunity to apply through a scholarship process. So and I've applied twice. So I apply, I answer the essay style questions, and then there's a panel of ladies that, all the information is scrubbed to identify the ladies. So it's like a blind,
it's a vetting process.
Blind vetting process. So 12 ladies, and there's been over 100 applicants per year, and just keeps growing more and more. But only 12 are selected out of all of the applicants in May. Mm-hmm. So August 1st, the 12 are chosen, and then those 12 go down to San Antonio, Texas in November for like a crash course in all things how to hunt, the Field to Fork. So all they are on the hook for is their plane ticket to get to San Antonio. Everything else is taken care of for them. They're given kit, they're given a bag, they're given a rifle to use for the week, and then they have the opportunity to purchase that rifle later on. But their boots, their pack, all of their gear up and down is all provided for them by our sponsors and donors, which is pretty awesome. And then they go through a day and a half firearms training out to 1,000 yards, where they're trained how to use a firearm. Okay. And then they go on a hunt, numerous hunts, it sounds like, at the FTW ranch. Mm-hmm. And they go through that process of having their first harvest on the ranch. Right. And then processing, breaking down that animal, skinning it, gutting it, and breaking it all down, and then learning how to make sausages with it. And they get to take the meat home. And then the hope is that they'll want to give back to, the community wherever they live. Mm-hmm. They're paired with a mentor if they need that support, or maybe it's their husband. They might choose their husband if he's an appropriate mentor, or if they don't have one, then the Wild Sheep Foundation will find one for them in their area and just help keep them going on their journey. as a hunter.
All right. Okay. You haven't done this?
I have not. I've applied twice. Didn't make it, but I kind of got in through this other way of now being being a podcast host. And I will have the opportunity though to go through the program in May. So I'm coming back to Texas at the end of May to do that Field to Fork program, which is pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. No, that's yes, that is cool. All right. Now I think one of the logical questions here is you were talking about there's so many ladies that apply. Okay, it's not like they get shuffled aside. They're still part of the Women That Hunt, right? Or Women Hunt organization. There's other stuff for them, right?
There are other branches that we're creating because the need is greater than we have ability to supply. There's more demand than supply at the moment, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
So those women who have applied that maybe didn't make it, they can apply again, and we encourage women to apply again because some of the ladies that have been successful finally in going to the ranch, they applied 2, sometimes 3 times. So we encourage people, if you didn't make it the first round, keep trying. But like someone like myself who didn't make it, but I was fortunate to still get into the Wild Sheep Foundation by a different route. But there's local fish and game clubs in your area. Probably there's a rod and gun club in your area, or there's a backcountry hunters and anglers group in your area, or there's somebody doing something in the hunting and conservation space in your area. So I encourage people to find out who that is and volunteer and get involved somehow. So it might not be with Women Hunt to start with, but there's people doing stuff in your area. So we definitely want people to follow Women Hunt on Instagram and to look us up on the website at wildsheepfoundation.org. And then there's a drop down with the Women Hunt, and you can read all about the different things that we've got going on.
All right. How did you find this? How did you get hooked up with this outfit?
I found it through Instagram. I find a lot of stuff through Instagram, and it's through the connections that I've made through getting into hunting just the past 2 years. I started with volunteering through the Backcountry Hunters and Anglers. We have a chapter in BC. Mm-hmm. Normally that's just an American organization, but we do have a branch up in BC. So okay. I started volunteering with that. How can I help? And then recently I'm getting involved with my local North Shore Fish and Game where I live. But really, I learned about Women Hunt through Instagram, and then I started meeting ladies who went through the program. They were successful, and they become friends and hunting partners of mine. And I just felt like I belonged with Women Hunt. But so I was so glad when Renee reached out this summer and asked if I'd be the host of this new show that she had the idea for.
All right. How often do you do podcasts?
I drop a new episode every Tuesday. So we dropped our first one January 6th, and then every Tuesday since then, I've been releasing a new episode.
All right. And it's primarily with ladies in the organization, or what are you looking for when you do these episodes?
No, it's not just ladies. So, with Renee, the founder, and for myself, men have been integral to our growth as a hunter. So we would be remiss to, remove men from the equation. So it is, the name is Women Hunt, but it's not, no woman is an island. We need men. And so I have primarily interviewed women, but not only. So I've interviewed like Dan Cabela, Robbie Kroger recently at Sheep Show, Derek Blake. We have this, another branch of Women Hunt is the Ruby Mayflower Blake Foundation, Legacy Fend. That's what it is. It's a whole mouthful. So Ruby was a gal. I never met her, but she loved hunting and fishing, and she was married to Derek Blake, and she passed away sadly in a drowning accident. And her husband Derek wanted to keep her memory alive. So Derek is friends with Gray and Renee, who's Gray is the CEO of the Wild Sheep Foundation. And he said, how can I keep Ruby's legacy alive? I want to do something that carries her name on. So now his branch of Women Hunt is taking a lady that another application process who has experienced trauma, because Ruby had experienced some kind of trauma in her first marriage, which she overcame, and hunting was a big part of her healing process. So now Derek takes out one deserving woman each year and takes her out hunting to sort of help her heal in her process. So the two ladies that have been out the past 2 years, they each have lost their husbands in various ways, and but they've had this opportunity now to go out with Derek and harvest and just go on these hunts that hopefully make them feel closer to their husbands and be part of their healing process as they move on with their lives.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. I'll tell you what. Why don't we thank the folks who let us come on here every Saturday morning? We'll be right back.